Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Daz.
I'm Aidan.
Welcome if you're a new viewer as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, right?
Always.
Sports for you. This is the channel for you.
Very much appreciated.
And it
helps us out.
Absolutely. This is 10 NFL players it's time to give up on.
You wouldn't want your name coming up in this video, would you?
How many seasons do you give a player before you give up on them, do you think?
Well, I don't think you give up on them during their first 2 seasons as a rookie. That's when you're known as a rookie, isn't it? Your first 2 seasons, because it can be a lot to go into the NFL and then.
Yeah, but I'm talking in general. Would you, if you're a coach and you've got a sports team, how long do you give someone before? I guess it depends on the sport as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it's like, for me, like if you look at if you come to like I say, I try and compare stuff to what I watch religiously, which is English soccer, a bit of rugby and a bit of cricket. Cricketers, I'd give like, if it's test level or country level, 2 test series, and if they're not performing, you've got to have a chat. Don't know. And I think it's. I
think you've got to have a chat if you have one bad game.
One bad game. You coaching though. Then coaching comes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So some people you give up on, but is it time to give up on? Let's say they play for. We look at Arizona here. Let's say they're playing for Arizona. Is it the Cardinals in Arizona? Playing for the Arizona Cardinals, but then you think, would he be better suited going to the LA Rams, for example, where you've probably got better people around you, or something like that, where you might perform a little bit better. So do you give up?
There's loads that go into it other than just the actual player's ability.
But this is let's see what this is. 10 NFL players it's time to give up on.
Yeah, interesting.
Murray threads it.
I know it's important to have hope and keep faith in the players that your team has recruited. And of course, there's always time for players to turn their careers around. But I think it's just as important to know when it's time to give up on a player when things are not working out.
I like this channel as well.
Steve Young, Kurt Warner, and James Harrison are among the prime examples in that it's not how you start, but rather how you finish. Just because you didn't light it up early in your career, well, it doesn't mean you can't rewrite your story as a feel-good late bloomer tale. But the problem is, late bloomers are few and far between. But it hasn't stopped several NFL teams, fans, and analysts from maintaining belief in certain guys that have underwhelmed for quite a while now. So today, here are 10 NFL players that, put simply, it's time to give up on. And hey, a big shout out to Graham O'Leary for suggesting this video.
Scoops it up, jumps to his feet, an entourage blocking to the end zone.
Baker Mayfield. Mayfield was dealt a bad hand when the Cleveland Browns ditched him for Deshaun Watson. A year after helping the Browns to the postseason in 2020, the number 1 pick of the 2018 NFL Draft endured multiple injuries in 2021, and he was clearly not his usual self. But at the same time, Mayfield deserved credit for battling through the visible pain and trying to carry the team on his back. Nonetheless, the Browns gave up on Mayfield after 4 inconsistent seasons and dealt him to the Carolina Panthers ahead of the 2022 season. The hope was that a fresh start and a change of scenery would maybe benefit the Oklahoma product, but it just never came together. Mayfield lost 5 to 6 starts in Carolina, completing 57.8% of pass attempts for 6 touchdowns against as many interceptions. The 74.4 quarterback rating he posted also marked a career low. Granted, Mayfield had minimal success over a short 4-game audition with the Los Angeles Rams late in the year, but we'll chalk that up to the QB guru that is Sean McVay, and it's not like Mayfield was that great in La La Land anyway. It's clear that Mayfield is a high-end backup and not a true starting quarterback. It was surprising to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sign Mayfield and no one else to compete with Kyle Trask for the starting QB role in the wake of Tom Brady's 2023 retirement, but alas, here we are. You do got a feel for Mayfield, who was determined and devoted to helping the Browns. Unfortunately, his days as a long-term starting QB ended the day the Browns gave up on him. Sam Darnold. Like Mayfield.
Yeah, I think once you have like injury problems, that's when your career starts slowing down, and that's like the main factor for most players where it ends your career.
Certain sports where you get injured, it puts a little bit of fear into you to do sort of like certain moves or certain plays that they've done in the past.
It again.
Yeah, if someone comes in and flattens you with something, you might be a bit more hesitant to go in for that tackle or that sort of like play. So the next thing
you know, that's losing you a couple of yards every time.
Exactly, and it's sort of like it does take it out of you. And it's I was lucky; I only ever had 1 injury, or 2 if you count shin splints.
Yeah, you would have gone pro if it wasn't for it, eh?
100%.
Would have gone pro if it wasn't for my knee. God.
Bloody knee. Who needs them?
Needs. Yeah, you got it. I got it.
But yeah, it's, I think injuries do play a big part in it, and You know, again though, this guy had quite a few chances, but I think he hit the nail on the head there when he said he's a good backup.
Yeah, but if he got drafted number 1 in the 2018 draft.
I know.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, I think if you get like if you become that backup, then your chances will come in because there are injuries, and you know you could be backup for a Super Bowl team, and all of a sudden quarterback gets injured, you're playing you might win the Super Bowl as a backup quarterback.
That's true.
So it's always.
Or
that.
you might win every game and then come in as a backup quarterback and lose.
Who was the Super Bowl this year? Was not the Super Bowl. Who was it that come up as he was like third? He was like the third quarterback that came in.
Was it for the Chiefs and like?
That's what I'm thinking. The Chiefs.
But like I feel like Patrick Mahomes was playing and he got injured during the game and then they had to switch out during the game or something. I'm not. But then Patrick came back on.
There was another team who I'm sure they went a distance like in the playoffs, but they was using like the third best quarterback or the third backup quarterback.
Oh really? I'm not too sure.
I can't remember who the team was.
Darnold got his fair share of opportunities to prove himself as a capable long-term starter in the NFL. It just simply wasn't meant to be, however. Was Darnold also dealt a terrible hand with a horrible roster and lackluster coaching during his 3 years with the New York Jets? Well, yeah, of course, but watch the old game tape. Darnold's decision-making was like that of a reckless rookie Madden player. It's no wonder the Jets gave up on the number 3 pick of the 2018 draft after 3 horrid seasons. As they did with Mayfield, Carolina gave Darnold a chance when they acquired him from Gangrene in a 2021 offseason trade. But in 2 seasons as a Panther, Darnold went 8-9 as a starter with a 59.5 completion percentage and 16 touchdowns against as many interceptions. Again, that is just not acceptable for a starting QB. The San Francisco 49ers signed Darnold as a free agent in 2023, simply to back up Brock Purdy and or Trey Lance. So it's not like Darnold is going to revive his career and become the new savior in San Francisco. Darnold just doesn't have the decision-making, mechanics, or tools to be a starter in this league. He'll make easy money as a clipboard holder, and trust us, it is not the worst gig to have. But don't get your...
See, Brock Purdy's the example of when he drafted last. When he missed the... What did he call it? Mr. Insignificant or Mr...
I do remember.
Yeah, was it Mr. Insignificant or something? They give the shirt, wasn't it like 259 draft pick or something?
Yeah, what do you call it? Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant, yeah, something like that. Yeah. That's but Brock Purdy's a prime example there. Yeah. Now he's starting quarterback for the 49ers type thing.
Hopes up about him ever living up to his potential. It just was never meant to be. Jalen Reagor. We suppose the successful 2022 trade for A.J. Brown kind of erases the biggest mistake Philadelphia Eagles GM Howie Roseman made back in 2020. That year, Roseman infamously took TCU wideout Jalen Reagor with the number 21 selection in the draft. 1 pick later, the Minnesota Vikings selected LCU receiver Justin Jefferson, arguably the best pass catcher in the game right now. Reagor had 2 awfully underwhelming seasons over his tenure in Philadelphia, totaling 64 receptions for 695 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Eagles gave up and sent Reagor to the Vikings, fittingly enough, Jefferson's team, ahead of the 2022 season. The fresh start did next to nothing in saving Rager's career, however. He tallied 8 catches for 140 yards and just 1 touchdown, unable to make the most of his new surroundings. It felt like a mistake at the time when the Eagles took Reagor over Jefferson, and it didn't take long to get official confirmation. C.J. Henderson. Hindsight is 2020, but maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars should have just paid plus kept Jalen Ramsey. That would have saved them from wasting the number 9 selection of the star-studded 2020 draft on C.J. Henderson. Hey, just saying. The Jaguars took the Florida corner over future stars like Tristan Wirfs Jr., CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Terrell, Brandon Ayuk, Justin Jefferson, and T. Higgins. That's a real ouchie if we have ever seen one. Henderson appeared in just 10 games over 2 seasons with the Jaguars before they dealt him to the Panthers, ahead of the 2021 trade deadline. Not that Henderson's play improved following the change of scenery or anything. Through 3 seasons, Henderson couldn't lock down a full-time starting position, and per Pro Football Reference, he yielded a completion percentage of over 64.0% and an opposing QB passer rating of just over 100 in each of those years. On top of that, Pro Football Focus graded him in the 50s in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So in other words, he's literally a liability in coverage and a replaceable level starter, which also means it's simply time to give up on him and accept that Henderson is not going to be a star in this league. Isaiah Wynn. In the 21st century, no team has had more success in drafting and developing stud offensive linemen than the New England Patriots. That said, Bill Belichick sure whiffed on his 2018 first-round pick and Georgia product Isaiah Wynn. The Pats selected Wynn with the number 23 selection that year, having lost longtime mainstay Nate Solder to the New York Giants in free agency. Unfortunately, Wynn missed his entire rookie year, which the Patriots won the Super Bowl that season, after tearing his Achilles in preseason play. Aside from a stellar 2020 season in which PFF graded him at 82.6, Wynn's play in Foxborough was marred by careless penalties and allowing way too many sacks. He was too inconsistent in the run-blocking game as well, and so it was no wonder that the Patriots happily let him walk in 2023 free agency. The Miami Dolphins wound up signing Wynn in May, 2 months after free agency opened. But it's not like Miami is going to unlock Wynn's full potential at this phase of his career. If the Patriots and their grade A coaching staff couldn't make him a star, the Dolphins sure won't. O.J. Howard. Fantasy football.
You never know, though.
You kind of do when you've got people like Belichick coaching you. You know what I mean? You got look how many Super Bowls you want to know. They had Tom Brady and people like that. But when you've got, it's not just about one player, is it? In a team game.
Yeah.
But when you've got people like Belichick coaching you, if you can't get the best out of a player, or as a player, you're not going to be the best under that coach. I mean, you might just have a beef with the coach.
That's what I mean. You never know.
We've got players over here that have a beef with the coach, and all of a sudden they go down, they get traded, sort of thing. But I don't know. I think he's had his day. I didn't get his age, but he said it.
He didn't look like he was
career. Didn't look young, did he?
Yeah.
But I just like you say, if you're not going to get the best out of him at the Patriots, where are you going to get the best out of him? And I think that's it. Fair
enough. Yeah. If everyone else in the same position is doing all right, the Patriots, they've got the best offensive lineman, and they always have. It's clearly a him problem, then, isn't it?
Correct.
Football owners can relate to this. We waited and waited and waited for Howard to break out, and it just never came. But an O.J. Howard breakout year is like a fourth Austin Powers movie. After enough time, you just accept that it's not gonna happen. On paper, the number 19 selection of the 2017 NFL Draft should have been a grade A fit under Jameis Winston and the whole no risk it, no biscuit thing. But even playing with Winston and later the GOAT Tom Brady did nothing to help Howard reach his full potential. Incredibly, Howard's career high in TD receptions, 6, came as a rookie, and it was just all downhill from there. He has exceeded 500 yards once and has never topped 34 receptions in a season. Howard's one-year stint with the Houston Texans in 2022 amounted to nothing, and he wound up signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. He can be a serviceable backup tight end, but the hope of Howard emerging as a star tight end concluded a long time ago. If Winston and Brady couldn't help Howard break out, nobody will. Plain and simple. James Washington.
I wonder why these teams actually buy these players then.
Well, sometimes you buy for ability, don't you? So it's like the draft pick sort of thing. Are you drafting? You might have a weak spot in a great team.
But I'm saying, I'm saying after they've say you did a year at the Houston Texans and didn't do anything, and then you went free agency. Why did the Raiders come in and try and get him?
Probably, I don't know. People might have to explain it. Maybe something to do with the salary cap.
Better fit for the Saints, or
maybe better fit. And they needed someone for that position with experience who can come in and just fill that void. You know, it might be to do with like you say salary caps or. I'm not sure how it all works because I've been watching this Saquon Barkley contract negotiation thing.
1 year, innit?
And it was using phrases I wasn't familiar with. And,
like what?
It says something like, was it a franchise release or a franchise something they give that he's gone back in now and he's going to get 11 million, but with other things it'd be 13 million.
Oh, I don't know.
And there was loads of stuff. I get all that, but it was something they used a franchise release or something that he came back in on. And I don't know what that means. It must be a window, like some kind of window that you can get back in. But people would let us know in that as well because that's something that I'm not really familiar with. With all the trading and moving
confusing,
around.
Isn't it?
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown's well-documented departure from Steel City in 2019, fantasy football players and analysts immediately turned their attention to James Washington. Juju Smith-Schuster was the new WR1 in Pittsburgh with A.B. gone, and Pittsburgh's 2018 second-round pick was surely ready to produce. Right? I mean, look at Brown, Juju, Hines Ward, Mike Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, and Deontay Johnson. All those guys are big-time stud receivers who were drafted after round 1. So it was now Washington's time to put his stamp on the Steelers' offense. Or so we thought. He showed some promise in 2019 by tallying 44 receptions for 735 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those numbers especially stood out because the Steelers lost Ben Roethlisberger for the year in Week 2, and Washington was putting up steady numbers with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges as his QBs. But Washington's play regressed following Big Ben's return onto the field in 2020. Over the next 2 years, Washington had just 54 total receptions for 677 yards and 7 touchdowns. Washington signed with the Dallas Cowboys in 2022, earning the chance to replace Amari Cooper and the injured Michael Gallup as the new WR2 option to CeeDee Lamb. Injuries unfortunately limited Washington to 2 games as a Cowboy, and he was subsequently waived. Hard to believe it's already been 4 years since the hype was big on Washington. Yet here we are in 2023, and he still hasn't put it together. Time to accept that Washington is a depth player and nothing more. Devin Bush. The Steelers traded up to snag the workhorse Michigan linebacker 10th overall in 2019. Coupled Bush's skill set with the Steelers' savvy coaching staff, and it just felt like a perfect fit in every aspect. But for whatever reason, Bush was just never able to make it work in Steel City. He had just 4 total sacks, 13 pass defenses, and 2 interceptions over his 4 years there, and he only hit 100 tackles in 1 season. The Steelers had no issues letting Bush walk to free agency, and he wound up signing with the Seattle Seahawks. It was a fine low-risk move for Seattle, but realistically, Bush isn't going to compete for the starting spot. Not when Seattle already has 3 quality starting linebackers in Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks, and Uchenna Nwosu. Bush won't see the amount of playing time he saw in Pittsburgh, and if a Hall of Fame head coach like Mike Tomlin couldn't maximize Bush's potential, why should we think that the Seahawks will suddenly unlock Bush when he is merely a backup now? Look, I'm saying all this to say, it's time to give up on Bush. N'Keal Harry. Bill Belichick may be the greatest head coach of all time, but man, that guy sure cannot draft wide receivers to save his goddamn life. Case in point, N'Keal Harry. Belichick took Harry 32nd overall in 2019, ahead of future star wideouts in A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, and other impact guys like Marquise Brown and Hunter Renfrow. Whether it was Tom Brady, Cam Newton, or Mac Jones, the big-bodied receiver just never found his footing in New England. So the Patriots dealt the disgruntled wideout to the Chicago Bears ahead of the 2022 season for a 7th-round pick. A move to the Windy City did nothing to save Harry, though. Through 4 seasons and through a plethora of different quarterbacks...
So they traded him, who they drafted 1st round, for a 7th-round pick?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But again, I think some people might want them off the books as for a financial reason.
Yeah.
And some of these are going to go just to stay in the hope that they're going to be a backup. This is what I'm thinking. You'll have to let us know.
Well, if he doesn't go there, he might just get released.
Released and he's got nothing. He's not in the NFL. He's back playing, on the park on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But if you've got the only way I can see it is it's financial reason and backups you need, because you're going to get injuries in this game.
Yeah. Injuries
are a given, aren't they? So you definitely need backups. I don't know how many backups you have for each. I don't know how many's on a roster.
I feel like there's definitely around 50 players,
For each position?
No, not for each position.
I'm joking. Seems that way when they're doing the entry into the field, right? But you've got to be, what's somebody, is it 11 on the field at the start? And then
I actually don't know, to be fair.
I think it's 11. And then you've got, so you get a backup for each, and it's 11 defence, 11 offence.
Yeah.
So that's 22, and a backup for each role. And maybe a third backup, so you're talking 11, 22. 11, 22 on each, so you've got 11, 22, 33, 66. So I don't know, maybe.
But I reckon on each team.
Then you've got special teams as well.
Yeah, I reckon on each team you'd probably how many wide receivers would you have on the 2, 1 left, 1 right? Would you
then 2, and then you probably have 4 on your starting.
I reckon you'd have about 6, 7 wide receivers in your team.
Because you probably mix it up, same as running backs, isn't it? But I was reading a thing yesterday about running backs not being paid as much as other players, and running backs are kicking off about it. And I think that's something to do with the Saquon Barkley negotiations, that he's accepted this, and it said something to do with because this current situation with running backs.
What?
Yeah, let us know more on that as well in the comments, because it's something definitely to do with the running backs that they're complaining they're not getting paid as much as they should do, something like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know it is, isn't it?
They've got a big role as well.
That's why I clicked into it, sort of thing, and I was like, "What's this all about?" And I thought, don't you negotiate your own contracts?
They're probably ones that get hit the most as well, aren't they?
Probably, yeah.
64 passes for 714 yards and 5 touchdowns. Whoop-de-doo. Harry had more than enough opportunities to prove himself at the NFL level. It hasn't happened. He is going to be a journeyman practice squad / second stringer at this phase of his career. Solomon Thomas. The San Francisco 49ers are doing just fine now, but it did take some time to live down the Solomon Thomas draft selection. San Fran took the Stanford pass rusher 3rd overall in 2017, ahead of future stars in Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Marshawn Lattimore, Deshaun Watson, Marlon Humphrey, et al. We tried being patient with Thomas, given the good situation he was in under a top-tier head coach in Kyle Shanahan. But after tallying just 6 total sacks over 4 seasons, the 49ers comfortably moved on from Thomas. A one-year stop with the Las Vegas Raiders in 2021 led to a career-high 3.5 sacks for Thomas, but that's hardly special. He was drafted to be a Pro Bowler and constant threat for double-digit sacks. Thomas reunited with Robert Saleh and joined the New York Jets in 2022. Despite another unproductive season, the Jets gave Thomas a one-year extension in 2023. We accepted long ago that Thomas wouldn't reach expectations, but we suppose a rotational piece is better than nothing at this point in his career. But what other NFL players do fans need to give up on? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is...
Yeah, good. There's a few plays in there I wasn't aware of.
Yeah,
I didn't know some of them. But yeah, that you mentioned something there, practice squad.
Yeah.
And that could be why certain people get drafted as well, or not drafted, but traded. So they get brought in to be a part of a practice squad that's a part of the overall... And rotational as well. You might have a play. You need to put someone in where you speak to someone, let them take the play, then come out and the next guy goes in with the play.
Yeah.
Where you just have a
all plays are different as well. Like one play you could have multiple
like
wide receivers. One play you could have no have just like 3 tight ends or something like that.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're getting to know it a little bit better, aren't we?
Yeah.
Through this,
trying our best.
More so. I mean, when we watch the game, we get it. I get the game when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I don't get it, the commentator kind of explains what's going on.
The trading's the bit that gets. That I've never really sort of like studied or don't understand. It just seems very, very complicated. Like swapping players for draft picks. I get that. I kind of understand that you want that draft pick, but 7th round draft pick.
Yeah. How
many players get drafted in? You're getting you probably get like what's
you
his
get
name?
32 a round.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
You never know, do you? That's what I'm saying.
What is it? 32 a round and there's 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Or 8 rounds.
Like I say, you need a lot of players, and if you've got like you said, practice squad as well. There's a lot of players at the club.
Yeah, you do.
Interesting. Enjoyed that though.
I did as
Good
well.
channel.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.